All right, what happens when a lifelong teacher decides to rewrite her identity completely in the world of short-term rentals?
Well, I'm a teacher. I don't belong here. I shouldn't be in this industry. Maybe I should just let my husband.
Colleen Coale left the classroom not because she had to, but because she thought that there was something else possible in her career.
Fast forward to now, I'm running probably 90% of the business, from creating listings and talking to owners.
From doubt to leadership, she now runs the business that she once questioned, crafting inclusive stays and a legacy of purpose. What gave her the courage when the voice inside her said, "You're just a teacher"?
It is possible, and that they were telling us the truth and they were there to help us. And it was a game changer having a support system and having a community behind us.
My name is Jason Muth. I'm a 35-time Airbnb superhost. After 25 years working in the media business, I started my chapter 2 in the world of short-term rentals. Since then, I've hosted over 7,900 guests and their furry friends, and now we manage more than $42 million in vacation homes, including our own properties and 33 on behalf of our clients. This show is all about helping you create a smart stay, personal, profitable, and built to last. It's real-world hosting done smart. Let's go. We have a delightful conversation today with our friend Colleen Coale. Colleen and I hung out a little bit in Beverly a few months ago here in Massachusetts. You said such great, kind things to me, and we learned a lot from each other during that event. And I was like, I got to have you on Smart Stay Show, and I'm grateful that you have agreed to come on with us. So welcome, Colleen.
Thank you so much. I'm really, really excited to be here. It was super exciting to meet you in Beverly. Like I told you when I met you, like you're someone who has inspired me from afar. So getting to meet you in person was very exciting for me.
Yeah, that's mind blowing to me. I mean, like here, Rory, here we are, in our office, just doing this little podcast, inviting people on, chit chatting about, the short term rental space, and it's nice to hear people actually listening on the other side. And I'll let Colleen tell the story, but Rory, the event that I went to, with the short term rental secrets mastermind, those are always really great, inspiring events where we're all learning from each other and challenging each other. But Colleen said something to me. We sat down, we were in like some small group together, and you
Yeah.
mentioned something about hearing me on a different podcast. And I think that struck a nerve with you in your life when you were listening to it, right? Which you got to tell that
Yeah.
story, and then we'll get into like who
Yeah.
you are. Yeah.
Well, I think the timing of you being on the Short Term Rental Secrets podcast I felt like the universe giving me a sign and helping me through a particularly difficult time in our business journey. You were talking about how you had left the, radio industry and you were moving into what you were calling your next chapter, and how important it was that you close and like end that other chapter and start something new. And you had to go through all of those things about changing how people perceived you and how you perceived yourself, and that you were no longer this radio guy. You were the short-term rental guy and you were doing big things. And at the time I had left my job as an elementary school teacher, which I had loved, right? It wasn't a job that I hated. I left, for family reasons. COVID threw the world for a loop. And we were just starting our business and I was still struggling with, well, I'm a teacher. I don't belong here. I shouldn't be in this industry. Maybe I should just let my husband do this and let Matt take over and go back to teaching and do what I'm good at. And then I heard your episode and I realized it was my time to end that chapter and start my new one. And I think about that so often, like when I'm struggling and I think about, I could just go be a teacher. And I was so good at that, right? I loved that job. And I think, no, that chapter's over and I'm okay to move on, and getting other people in my life to see that also. And so I have you to thank because I keep that in my mind all the time. So thank you for that.
Well, that's extremely touching. And, if you're listening to this also, getting glimpses of inspiration from people like Colleen and myself and Rory, we appreciate it, whether we hear from you or not. We're hoping that some of the words that we discuss here at Smart Stay Show that are involved both with short-term rentals and with your mindset, with your life and how it fits in with everything that we do and our young children and everything. That's part of why we're doing this. We're trying to inspire people to live the best lives they want to live. I mean, Rory, you and I have this interesting life where we're not going to offices anymore and we're forging our own way. And I don't think either you and I expected to be doing this at this point of our careers, did we?
No, I mean, if I ever thought about, 10, 15 years ago, what things would look like, us sitting at home, doing a podcast, having businesses that kind of work well together, really wasn't what I was, expecting. And the fact that this arrangement, it's tough. It has its challenges. There are days where things are really hard, but we get to walk our daughter to school. We get to be here for things. We don't have to, sure, things control our time, but we control it for the most part. And this is to your point, not what I imagined, 10, 20 years ago.
Very, very much not. And Colleen, that's probably what you didn't imagine either. I mean, you went to school to study education, and here you are with your husband, Matt, and you're running Hereford Place Hospitality. Tell us all about the work you're doing in the short-term rental space, just to give us a really good overview as to who you guys are.
Yeah, so Hereford Place Hospitality is a full service short-term rental property manager. We live right outside of Philadelphia, about an hour outside, but we host all of our properties are currently in the Pocono Mountains. So it's a really great vacation market. It's family based. And what we do and what we really focus on is creating really amazing 5-star stays for our families that come in and let our owners just have stress-free ownership. It can be a completely hands-off investment for them. We do everything down to like basic home maintenance all the way up to revenue management and calendar management and all of those fun things that go into the short-term rental world. We have really big goals for ourselves as a company, but currently we have 10 properties in our portfolio under management, and we're growing organically, and it's been a really wild ride. But to your point, had you even asked me what STR stood for maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I probably wouldn't have even been able to tell you that. So it's been a little bit of trial by fire, and but really interesting and really fun ride so far, building what we've built.
Well, take us back to 3 years ago when you didn't know what those 3 letters meant. How did you and your husband end up in this space?
Oh, goodness. So I like to joke and say to Matt that he drugged me in here kicking and screaming, but I had heard constantly about this podcast he was listening to. He was just head over heels. He was listening to every episode. He was consuming materials. Every book that came into the house started to be about real estate and investing. And it ended up being the Short-Term Rental Secrets podcast. We found out we had a mutual friend and ended up looking really he was looking at joining the Mastermind and figuring out how to do this. He's currently an ER nurse for his W-2 job, and he was looking for a way to be home with our girls more, and he felt like this was the right route. And I said, whatever you want to do, I'll be here. I'll take care of the kids. I'll take care of the house. But, that's going to be your job. And when he went to join the Mastermind, he realized it was going to be a little bit more of a commitment than he was going to be able to handle with his W-2. And so he asked me, do you think you could handle some of these things? Like maybe talk to a guest every once in a while, or, help me out with a property. And I said, okay, I'm here. I want to be supportive to you. I might be interested in that. And now fast forward to now, I'm running probably 90% of the business, from creating listings and talking to owners, and I absolutely love it. And so while at first I was very hesitant because I didn't really understand anything about the market, I didn't really understand why people would do this, like why it feels like more of a headache than fun or like a business. And now I see it and I really enjoy it. I'm glad that I'm here. But it was a lot of like, all right, well, if that's what you want me to do, then I'll hop on board. But It was 100%, it was all Matt driving this train. And I've just taken over at the helm.
How much skepticism did you have early on hearing, him listening to this crazy podcast about short-term rentals, and you're like, who are these people? What are they talking about? And wait, you're a nurse and I'm a teacher. Like, that's who we are.
Yeah.
What are you trying to be? Like, what were those conversations like?
Yeah, I mean, they were very serious conversations because, when you start to invest in your education in this space, or you start to invest in building a business, it's a lot of money, first of all. And I was very skeptical that he was being like wooed, right? That he was being brought into these communities. They were going to take his money, but these goals that they were saying were attainable were actually not. That they were giving us the brightest and the best, stories of these couples doing what he wanted to do. And I was like, there's just no way that they can possibly be doing this. It just doesn't seem real. So from a financial standpoint, I was very skeptical about, how much money are we actually going to be putting into this? And I was also very skeptical that like there was ever a future where this was more than a hobby for us. Like I thought we could be really great hosts eventually. Like as a teacher, I generally have good people skills. I like talking to the guests most of the time. And so I was like, this could be fun on the side, but I never in a million years believed that this would be our career and that we would be talking about retiring Matt from his job and that we would be doing the things that we're doing now. I was very scared. Like, well, what do we do about health benefits? And like all the little silly things that you worry about when you start off, have absolutely dissipated because I can see that it is possible and that they were telling us the truth and they were there to help us. And it was a game changer having a support system and having a community behind us. And any money that we invested into education has paid back, tenfold at this point.
Yeah, and we're not paid to say this, but Rory and I were in a similar position a couple of years ago when I just decided to join this exact same mastermind, right? And I've seen people come and go in this mastermind, as you have. You've been in it for a number of years, as have I.
Yeah.
Just because you join a group doesn't mean that it's going to be successful for you. It's what you put into it. It's the community that you gather, it's the information, and then it's, can you actually put these things to work? Can you build a business? Can you build systems? I've seen some people that kind of come and go, like where they're all gung-ho on doing this, and then suddenly they kind of drift away because they had a couple problems that happened along the way, or it didn't turn out to be as easy as they thought it was going to be. So they moved on to kind of the next thing. But people like yourself that stick with it, where you made that commitment a couple of years ago and you said, we want to add to our identity. And, maybe not, you're always a teacher, right? He's always a nurse. Like you don't take that away from you, but in the next chapter in your book, you're using those skills to help people in the properties, help the owners maximize the revenue, help the guests be super happy with what they're doing. And you've stuck with it, which I think is a credit to joining a program that you trust your gut is correct. And then you see the success from the other people. And then you figure out how to weave that success in with your own lives. I don't know about you, but I think the success that I saw from other people in that group and other groups motivated me, right? It was what drove me to say, hey, Rory, maybe I should do a co-hosting business in Provincetown, even though I never wanted to have clients again in my life. And here we are again with 30, like that was the motivating factor. I was like, other people could do this. Like I could do it too. You probably saw the same thing, right?
Oh, 100%. Like at first I was a little like, oh, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry, Rory. At first I was like, what do they have that we don't? Like, do they have skills? Are they, a lot of people come from marketing or finance. Like, do they have things that I don't have? And is that why they're successful? And I realized that's not the case. Nobody is inherently better than another person. And we all have things that we can give to make this industry better and to build our own business and not someone else's business. That's not the goal, to be someone else or do what they're doing. It's to build something that works for you and taps into what you're good at.
Actually, I have a question for both of you with the mastermind groups, because you intimated that you're afraid that this was going to be a group where they're just kind of selling you the best case scenarios and not kind of, digging deep and kind of just selling you on something that didn't make sense. How do you judge mastermind groups when you're thinking about joining them? And then once you're in them, how do you get the best use from them?
I could start. I mean, I judged one group and I joined it. You know me, I go with my gut a lot, right? And we've been pretty lucky that things have worked out really well. But when we moved here to Newburyport, Mass, I started, seeing who the local real estate network players were. I found my way to a few people. I went to a local meetup. One of the coaches in our group, Chris Petsy, who's been a guest on this podcast, who I've cited multiple times as a big, inspiration with our business. He was speaking at that meetup. It was on the drive home from our properties up in New Hampshire at Baxter Lake, Rory. And I was like, hey, do you mind if I stop by in Dover, New Hampshire at this meetup? They're talking about short-term rentals. And I listened and I was like, wow, I need somebody like this in my life, because this was shortly after my job ended. We were weekend warriors, having done this for 4 or 5 years, and we didn't know anybody. We were on an island unto ourselves. Like, we were experts in the minds of the people I used to work with, but we were certainly not experts in the space just yet. So I went up to him afterward and I introduced myself, and I literally said that. I'm like, I don't know where you came from, but I need people that say those words in my life on a regular basis. And I mentioned I was going to the Bigger Pockets conference that year, in 2022, which was a great conference. And he mentioned a mastermind meetup that was happening in Miami shortly beforehand. So I was just like, yep, let's just sign up. I signed up for it. And then suddenly I'm getting, the Instagram algorithm is giving me content from all the coaches that are in our group because they saw me raise my hand. And next thing you know, I'm getting lots of Mike Sodrin content, and I'm watching this content. And then I'm getting content from a local real estate agent here in Newburyport who happens to be Chris Petsy's business partner, Sean Bakhtiari, who also has been a guest on this podcast. And I'm like, this is the world converging. This is all these people converging on this one thing. And they're all here in the Northeast. I'm like, somebody is telling me something that these are the people I should align with. And it's as simple as that. That's how I did it. Colleen, I don't know how you and Matt found this group and chose this over other ones, but that's my story behind it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I was absolutely not involved in becoming part of any mastermind. I didn't really even know they existed, to be completely honest. Like I said, we did have a mutual friend, someone who works for Short-Term Rental Secrets, and we reached out, as a person, like person to person. Is this real? Is this something that we should get involved with? And he said, absolutely. But I think, Rory, to your second question, like, how do we take advantage of it? When we first joined that mastermind, we jumped in with both feet. We were at every meeting that they had. It was all, on the computer and digital. We were asking questions. We were getting involved in the community. The first opportunity we had to meet people in person at the Pocono Short-Term Rental Conference, we met everyone we could meet. And there was a really huge showing from this mastermind at our local meetup. And it was really nice to be embraced by a group and like, we have you, we support you. A lot of our first leads came from other members of the mastermind who said, like, let's help you out. Like, let's see what we can do to make sure this community works together. And so I think Jason said it earlier, you get out of it what you put in. And so if you think the mastermind is going to do all the work for you and it's going to be some magic pill that you take and it's going to transport you to a whole new life, that's absolutely not the case. They give you the tools, you build your toolbox, and then you have to build whatever it is that you're going to build. And so I think if you go into it halfway, or you go into it like, we'll see, I don't think it's going to give you the same benefit as you would if you just go all in and you are a part of the community.
So let's talk like specifically about Hereford Place Hospitality and like what you've implemented like along the way. Like, what was it like once you got that first and second client? Because are you real estate investors as well? Like, did you have your own properties before you did this?
No, nope. Totally management.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's super interesting. Totally management. So how do you find that how do you get that first client to trust you that you're the right people to do this?
What a great question. So, I mean, anybody who's listening who's new to this podcast, I want to be very realistic about what the beginning looked like. The first 9 months from the time we joined the mastermind until we got our first client, 9 months of just making calls, talking to people, learning what we didn't know, realizing there was a lot we didn't know. But really, our first lead came from the community, came from our mastermind community. They said, this house doesn't fit our portfolio. And do you think you'd like to talk to them? We think they could be a good fit and you could be really helpful. So we had the backing of someone who is established in the market saying, these guys are going to do a great job. We know that they're going to be a good fit for you. And it was really helpful that these people were true investors. They have never seen, I think they've seen their property twice in the 3 years they've owned it. They gave us more trust than I felt we deserved at the beginning. Just super calm, very just, let's learn it together and it's going to be fine. And we thank them every day for that, because getting that first property, so it was 9 months for the first property. We sat at one property for another 6 to 8 months before we got number two. And then it was almost a full calendar year before we moved further than that. So it was slow. And there was a lot of skepticism from the people that we talked to. Like, why do we trust you? Why is this good? And I don't want to hype the mastermind up so much, but it was really nice to say, we are part of this community. We have a network. If we don't know, we know somebody who does. And specific to this market, we have a lot of help. And so using the leverage of the people that were already doing this was super helpful to getting people to trust us. Once we had two and we had our cleaners, referring us to owners, we've met real estate agents when we went back for a second year at the conference with a little bit more confidence. It was much easier to say, yeah, we do this. We know what we're doing. And then that's when the momentum sort of took over. And in the past 6 months, we've gone from 2 to 10, and we're hoping that momentum continues. Not hoping, it will. The momentum will continue in 2026 and, continue to grow just with your confidence. If you go into something and you're like, I don't know, maybe, and it's not going to work out. If you say to an owner, like, yeah, I could do that, and you figure it out as you go, I think that's definitely helpful.
I love hearing that story. It's exactly what happened to us also. And another one of our coaches, Mike Riley, told me it's going to be hard to get to 2 properties and then you'll be at 10 before you know it. And it's literally what happened to you. It's literally what happened to us. And you don't believe it when they're saying this to you, because the first couple properties, I don't know about you, but the emotions that you go through are, am I good at this? Do I like this? Am I going to screw it up? Like all these negative emotions you think about. And I think it's rare that somebody goes in, with guns blazing saying how awesome they are when they have no experience doing it. I mean, that's a bold claim, at least, but people that are able to do that claim, good for them. Like I didn't have that claim, even though I'd been managing properties for many years, our own properties, and Rory had seen me do it and we did a pretty good job with it. And he very much knew that this is what I wanted to do in the next chapter of my life after the job ended. But the whole managing other people's things, I didn't even know if I like it. Rory, you were at a lunch with me. Were you at the lunch with me when we're talking about Pride Away? And I was talking, basically saying like, I don't know, if this doesn't work, I'll just undo it. And it was like, why would you think that way? Like I
remember that we were at the Grog and you were kind of being fatalistic about it, saying that if this doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I think everybody at the table, including myself, said that's not the right way to think about this. Either you're going to give it your honest try or not. And certainly don't go around talking like that about the business you just started. But I remember everybody else had the same kind of, impulse to your comment.
We were at the Goat, technically, not the Grog, but, I remember that very well. So Colleen, when you switched though, like from teacher mode to, oh my God, I have these 2 properties now, were you all in? Like, did you decide that you're now no longer a teacher? This is what you're doing professionally?
Oh, 100%. I'm officially technically retired with the Pennsylvania school system. I what I've learned is that I really love telling people I own my own business. I think it's really interesting to see people's reactions to say like I work as a professional Airbnb host, and to say that and be really confident that we own this business and it's successful and I'm really helping people. It feels really good. I think I had this moral attachment to being a teacher that I felt like because I was doing something good for the world that it made me a good person. And it was hard to kind of break from that because there is a lot of stigma around the Airbnb world, about real estate agents, about the whole world. And I felt like I needed to stay connected to who I was as a teacher for like moral high ground, just to make me feel like a better person. But I realized I can be disconnected from that and I can still be a good person. We can be successful. We can have something for ourselves. And that doesn't change anything about who we are as people. Matt and I are intuitively, we are helpers, right? We want to do good in the world and we are doing that just in a different way. And so that mindset piece was absolutely the reason that we were able to take off, because I don't think if we had stayed stuck and I had stayed stuck as well, I'm a teacher and I'm not meant to be in this world. And I'm, all that nonsense that I told myself, just like, you did, like if it fails, it's fine. Once we got away from that, that's when the game changed, that this is serious. We can start implementing some systems. We can start building something that's sustainable. And, I'm not backing away now. It's there's no wrapping this up and giving it to somebody else or ending it, because we're too invested and we're here for it now. This is who we are.
It's interesting hearing about that morality side, because you've probably trained for many, many years to be a teacher. You have degrees to be a teacher. Your friends and family know you as the teacher. And now you have to come out and say you're somebody different. That is not that moral person who's going to educate the future of the world. But you're finding the right twist. You're saying this is right for me and right for our family. And we are business owners that are still serving a purpose for others, for our owners and for our guests. And I think that's really what separates some of the good operators from the people that are really just in it for the money, is the people that understand you're serving your community. I mean, think about all the guests that you've hosted. You're mostly in the Poconos, right?
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's a vacation destination, but you probably have people that are going there for other reasons as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I mean, from the guest perspective, I love hearing their stories. I love hearing we're coming in to celebrate this. We had a family coming in because their mother had never met her biological sister, and she was like 80 years old. And they were coming to meet at one of our properties for the first time in their whole lives. And I heard that story, and it's stuff like that just really, it makes the bad times just like get forgotten. And then on the other side, when we have owners who are nervous, they've put so much into this. They're, very excited, but they're very nervous. I love when I can help them and I can calm them down and show them that it's going to be okay and that we're there for them and that they have a support system, because they feel kind of alone in all of this. And so it does make you feel good. Way more than the financial aspects of all of it. And above and beyond that, like, if I was still a teacher, like I went and volunteered in my daughter's classroom a couple weeks ago for the whole day. I could set my meetings to different days. I didn't have to go teach other people's kids. I could go spend the day with my daughter. And it just felt, it's that sign that you're doing the right thing and that it was the right choice for us.
Is there a certain type of client that you feel that you've attracted? I know that we're all looking for clients of all different types, some larger properties, smaller properties. Obviously, we'd like ones that have available calendars and a really high revenue potential. But from a human perspective, talk about the types of owners that you're working with, who've signed on with you, who you've worked with either short-term or long-term. And are there some commonalities there that you think that your personality type has attracted them into your company?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously everyone wants that investor client who has pockets of money and is ready to just go all in and doesn't care and, lets you have full run of the property. But what we have found is that some of the most rewarding owners are the ones that have saved up forever and picked a market that they love because their family has gone there their whole lives, and now they want to be a part of that community. And what we've found is that we often get calls from other short-term rental managers who just say, like, this person just needs a lot more hand holding than we're able or willing to give. And that's where Matt and I come in, and we're holding hands because like I said before, I really love that moment where I can help someone feel calm about the investment that they've made. I can help walk them through something that they have very little idea about. A lot of these owners have done their research through like Google or, Pinterest, or they're on Airbnb and they see things they like, but they're not actually educated in the space. And so getting that opportunity to help someone who's nervous or, overly excited maybe about the wrong things, we're very excited to help guide them down that path. And so while they're not the clients that are going to go buy 2, 3, 4 of these and expand our portfolio, they're the ones that really make us feel good, like feel like we're making a difference, we feel like they're the ones that need us the most. Because our investor clients, that's easy, right? We can do that all day long. It's that human to human connection that makes this feel worth it and makes it feel like we're doing something good. We're helping others in a pretty big way for them.
Have you had clients refer you to other clients yet?
Clients referring, they have told their friends and things about that, but we haven't had any actual connections. What we have had, though, is members of our team. So our local boots on the ground cleaning staff has been amazing. They say, like, I like working for you. And this is in no way, I'm not trying to be boastful, but what they're saying is, like, I enjoy working with you. I like the systems that you have in place in your home. I think this house over here might need your help a little bit. And we're getting a lot of referrals from our team members to other owners that have come to fruition, that we're helping those owners transition from a property manager that maybe didn't know what they were doing, didn't know the market, or just wasn't a good fit. And so we're coming in to not clean up a mess, but, help them out where we can.
We too are getting referrals in that manner. We've gotten some referrals from owners, which is very flattering. I mean, you always kind of want to know how well you're doing with the owners. Sometimes we hear from owners all the time. Sometimes we don't hear from them at all. But then every so often we'll get a referral from that owner saying how great of a job we're doing. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess they like us, right? But the cleaners and the team on the ground, it is such a great referral source. One of our cheat codes is that we've built out our network in Provincetown, where Pride Away Stays is, by asking our owners who they work with in town and if they want us to continue working with those partners. Sometimes they know people, sometimes they don't, but it's always worth the question. We just had one of our new clients who we just signed on a couple of weeks ago referred us to their cleaner who they like. And they're like, we'd like it if you can keep using the cleaner. Our policy is that absolutely, let's talk to the cleaner and let's see how things are and how we jive. Had a amazing conversation with this cleaner. I was sitting in this seat not 6 days ago, having the same conversation with him. Next thing I know, the next day they referred us somebody. And I just had a call this morning with that person who they referred to us. It's kind of remarkable how that happens. And she hasn't even done a cleaning for us yet, but something must have sparked the conversation that she's like, I like your company and I'm going to refer you somebody that I just did a deep cleaning for. So don't sleep on the cleaners and that team on the ground. They are going to get you some clients.
Yeah. You have to keep them happy. You have to keep them happy. Definitely.
Got to pay them on time. Got to keep them happy. Got to be respectful. Got to have good
Get them
systems
what they need.
that they get them what they need. Talk about working with your husband on this, because he's the one. So he's the one that brought you into the podcast. He's the one that did this to you, quote unquote. and here you're the one who's the expert here on Smart Stay Show. Like, I know Matt, I know he's dealing with, a sick child right now, but what's it like working with him in this new endeavor?
It's so wild. I mean, we are very different people and we work very well as a couple because of how different we are. He's, former military. He's an ER trauma nurse. Like, he runs on adrenaline. He runs on structure. He runs on systems, where I tend to be a lot more first grade teacher, right? A lot of like feelings and love and, blown around by the wind sometimes. And so, when we started this company together, there were more challenges than there were gifts. To be completely honest with you, because it's hard. There's a lot of work that goes into it. There's a lot of time that goes into these things. And when you are living with your business partner and you are in bed at night with your business partner and you're parenting with your business partner, there's a lot of challenge there, because business was bleeding into our everyday lives. It was bleeding into our parenting. Something's blowing up on the business side, and then you've got a toddler who's screaming at you. It's very difficult to like separate those two worlds where, you are no longer business partners, you're husband and wife. What we've learned is that we've actually, in my opinion, and you could ask him one day, but I think that we've become such a stronger couple in this endeavor because we've had to learn to communicate better. If you don't communicate with your business partner and you don't communicate well with your partner in life, things aren't going to go the way that you think that they're going to go. And so, being able to listen to one another, what do you really need? And being honest in return, has been the biggest gift that we've gotten from all of this. Just learning how to really talk to each other and understand what each other needs in that moment. And just being really respectful. It's easy to get angry, and it's easy to blame, or it's easy to get frustrated in that moment when your business partner is at the kitchen table and they're, continuing to make you angry. But being respectful in that moment, taking a step back and learning one another while we're also learning how to run a business, it really has been a gift, and I'm very thankful for it, that we've been able to grow together as a couple and build something beautiful while we're doing it.
That's a great way to put it. Rory, I don't know how you feel about my constant nagging about business and things around here.
Do I have to confess how I feel? I mean, we do well. We're a little bit different. I mean, we have our own lanes, or we have our own like portfolio responsibilities. But in the end, it's nice to know that there's somebody that I can, trust completely. And if I have a problem that's kind of outside of the normal scope of business, I can, I've got it covered.
One thing I think that I agreed to, which I decided is something that I probably need to improve upon, is since I'm the one that's up early and I'm the one that's getting stuff done work-wise for a good hour and a half before everybody else really wakes up, I cannot attack people with my list of to-dos that are both business related and around the house related right when that person is waking up. So I think that I have resolved not to do that, but we have agreed to have kind of a common list from which we work that we can have family meetings and double check on a regular basis. It just won't be first thing in the morning. Lately, at least so far, in the new year as we record this, I've caught Rory a number of times during lunch where I talk his ear off when he's standing over there making a sandwich, and I'm just basically explaining everything on my mind right now. So far it's worked this year in the 2 days we've tried it. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of challenges in working with your spouse and then working in the same workspace with your spouse, and being a teacher and a nurse in two entirely different workspaces where you can come together at dinner, compare notes on your day, shifting over into running a business together where you're talking about the same thing all the time can be tough. There's no easy way to do it, but it sounds like you're finding your way, we're all learning how to run these businesses from our kitchen tables, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but I think it's worth it personally.
Let me, as we start to wrap up, I do want to ask about something that we were talking about earlier before we hit record, and that was about ADA compliant units, which is an entirely different topic from what we've talked about on this podcast. But you mentioned that you are looking to build out a portfolio that includes units that are providing safe and inclusive spaces for people with different types of needs. Is there a specific motivation behind wanting to do that? Is it a market need? Is it a opportunity for your business, or is there some personal story behind all that?
There's absolutely a personal component here. Growing up, my uncle, one of my favorite uncles in the world, is in a wheelchair. He's paralyzed, and while I saw him maneuver buildings and things growing up, it didn't really click to me that that was a need in any market really until my mom got sick. So in January of 2024, she got diagnosed with cancer, and by September, she passed away. So she declined very quickly. And my sisters and brothers were taking care of her. So it was a lot of movement in and out of places in a wheelchair. And the same week that she got placed on hospice, we had our whole family vacation planned. And we told the hospice team, listen, we are taking her with us. We don't care. Like, you help us pack up the equipment and we're going to go. And so, managing a wheelchair and a hospital sized bed and the needs that she had in that moment, and then seeing my uncle try to navigate that vacation space as well as an adult and seeing that from the hospitality perspective, I said to Matt, I know what I want to do. I know what my big goal is here. And so all roads at this point are leading to what we want to do is create spaces specifically in the Pocono Mountains, because that is definitely a market need. There are not a lot of accessible spaces. And even when they say they're accessible, it might mean that you can get in, but you probably can't shower effectively. You probably can't use the kitchen effectively. The doorways aren't wide enough. So yeah, you can get in, but you can't enjoy your vacation because you're constantly worried about, how am I going to navigate this entire weekend? And so what Matt and I have talked pretty extensively about is that we want to be that beacon. We want people to be able to travel, to enjoy a vacation, and actually use a home that is designed to be accessible for multiple kinds of needs. And this isn't for people who are just physically disabled, but we're thinking about, like, his mom had her knee replaced, and we've had many people who have had surgeries who are immobile. So maybe they need those needs temporarily, and we're able to give them a space to go to for that time. Or, we travel with our families, and we're very blessed that our children are all happy and healthy and all that. But I can only imagine if I had to take my child on vacation and navigate that space. And so while there is absolutely a market need, it's definitely personally driven that this is something that I want to do. I want to leave a legacy where we're creating these memories for people that maybe they didn't have that opportunity before.
We spoke with somebody many episodes ago, Mrs. Schneider, I believe was her name, with lessbarriers.com. It's another episode we should check out. You should have you check it out. And she was all about creating accessible spaces for people that are traveling through Airbnb vacation rentals for the reasons that you've cited. And, Rory and I are not there yet, but we do have vision of redoing one of the properties that we own. And if we're going to be putting some extensive work into the property, we're thinking about making it ADA compliant off the bat as a direct result of what you've said. Like, there's not enough spaces that people who have mobility issues or special physical needs can travel to. And if we're going to redo a property, why don't we put in the handlebars? Why don't we make the doors wider? Why don't we make the shower accessible? Why don't we make the bed lower? The various things that one would need to do. These are all fields that can get checked off on Airbnb and Vrbo, right? Anything that's sortable on Airbnb, any amenity, not that these are amenities, but anything that people can sort on is always a good idea to have at your property. So my guess is, if you're looking the Poconos and check off the boxes for a property that sleeps 6 to 8 people that is, ADA compliant, the list probably shrinks from thousands to just a few. right? So it allows your property to
Yeah.
stand out too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's, like I said, definitely a market need.
Rory, any final thoughts for Colleen as we wrap up?
I mean, as we started the podcast, you had a couple of nice things to say about Jason and listening to him in podcasts. So I just want to know if there's anything else that you wanted to say who might be in your shoes from a year or two ago. Anything else you'd want to say to that person so that when they're in a podcast in a couple of years, they can cite you?
Oh, I love that. Absolutely. I'd say just keep in mind when you're starting, it doesn't have to be perfect to start. Just start. And while you're doing that, take the time to celebrate your wins, even if they're so small and they feel insignificant. Take a time to celebrate it and look back at how far you've come, because you will not regret giving yourself that credit and celebrating yourself and what you've done.
Excellent advice, Colleen. It's been great to get to know you over these past few months and years, months specifically. And I love seeing your business growing as it is. I mean, we're going to resurface in a year and talk about your 25 and 30 units, 10 of which are ADA compliant, and you speaking at the Poconos conference and other ones. I mean, like, that's just kind of how it feels like the universe is bringing you, like, in this direction. Like, you've gone from my husband's listening to this weird podcast to, wait, I'm going to change my career. That is my identity, to, can we do this? To, oh yeah, we're the experts in this space. It's such an amazing transformation. And it is not atypical in our space, but people have to believe it. Like, and that's one thing that you have conveyed very clearly, that you believe it. But this is who you are now. So congratulations for that.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for being here with Smart Stay Show. Thank you, Rory. We'll link up both your websites in the show notes here. If you've enjoyed the episode, all the past episodes are up at smartstayshow.com. And we thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.